Welcome back to Marcus Today. It's Wednesday. They say Wednesday is ladies' night. We say Wednesday is all about ladies in the afternoon, talking about business, talking about numbers. Well, today it's been such an honor and a privilege to have two wonderful and impactful ladies who are affiliated with the Women in Business program offered by Safaricom. If you're just joining us, I would encourage you to go back and watch the recap of this show. We had a very interesting conversation with Florence, who is part of the Safaricom team, the Women in Business, and she was talking to us about the opportunity in technology and how they've been able to empower women to be part and parcel of the technology spend in this country. Now we take a different trajectory. We are joined again in studio by Christine Matumo. She is the MD of Spectrum Engineering, as well as a beneficiary of the Women in Business at Safaricom. Welcome to the show, Christine.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I think before the show I was asking how long you have been doing this and if you're an engineer. Perhaps you can start us off by a brief. Who are you? What does your company do?
Okay, so like you said, I'm Christine Matumo.
Yes.
Currently the Managing Director of Spectrum Engineering. So we are engaged in the provision of telecommunication services and infrastructure, mostly for the local operators or the international manufacturer vendors. So Christine is an engineer by training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm registered with the Communications Authority of Kenya.
Yes.
As an engineer.
Okay.
And as a young engineer, I started off as what you call a clerk of the works.
Yes.
Who's like a site supervisor, watching, giving reports to the managers in the office on the construction of the BTS sites.
Okay.
Yes.
So what did you study? Was it mechanical engineering? Was it civil engineering? What was your specialty?
Telecommunication engineering.
Telecommunication engineering.
Correct.
All right. And how long have you been running this company for?
The company is about 16 years old now.
16 years is a long time.
Yes. I founded it with a business partner and,
Yes.
and a mentor.
Okay.
Back in 2002.
All right.
Yes.
And what made you decide I will not be employed? I'd rather go and start my company. What was the opportunity? What did you see in 2002? And has that changed in the year 2020?
So during my training to be an engineer, we had a lot of, I think part of our curricula was to go on internship.
Yes.
And actually work with telecom companies at the time. So all throughout the years, I was able to be matched either to whether it was Safaricom back in the day or before Safaricom, there was paging services.
Okay.
And I just saw the opportunity.
Wow.
I just knew there was such a big gap and there was space for us to play in.
Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. So over 16 years of running Spectrum Engineering and you're focusing on the telecommunication industry, how has the opportunity morphed? So if you look at 2002, then we go 2012, 10 years from then we go 8 years into 2020. How has the opportunity changed and how have you had to evolve as a business owner and as a business in that sense?
Okay, so the one thing that's constant in our industry is change.
Okay.
Yes.
I like how you say that. You said with such a straight face. I was expecting something out of that. Okay, so the change is a constant.
Okay. It's
Okay.
technology.
Yes.
You go from 2G,
Yes.
then 3G,
Yes.
4G. Now we are talking about 5G.
Yes.
And every time that happens, it means there's new equipment, upgrades. So you have to stay relevant. You have to, if you can, read ahead and be prepared for when the technology is changing from one place to another.
Yes.
Yes. So
All
it's
right.
always changing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then how do you ensure that you're always ahead of the curve? So you've talked to us through 2G, 3G, now we're at 5G.
4G.
We're at 4G and going into 5G.
We're looking into 5G
We're
right
looking
now.
into 5G. When you look at Spectrum, how does Spectrum play in this space? Do you provide equipment? Do you provide services? Do you provide construction? So then how does that thinking in terms of your own expenditure and your own resources internally as we move from one level of technology to another?
So because we're in partnership with the local operators like Safaricom or the local or the international vendors, the training is constant. So they're telling us we have new equipment in the market.
Okay.
They put us through training so that we're prepared to support them through their change with them.
Okay.
Yes. So the
Understood.
opportunities just seem to, you just move with
You go with it.
You go with it.
Okay.
Yes.
So from the training and from what you're saying, would I be right to say that Spectrum actually delivers the equipment that allows Safaricom to facilitate 2G, 3G connectivity, or how should I look at Spectrum? What's the core business of Spectrum?
We are service providers
Okay.
and infrastructure. So we will do the construction
Okay.
and we will install the equipment on behalf of the manufacturer
Yes.
or Safaricom,
Or
in this
Safaricom.
case. So
Okay.
we purely provide services.
Okay.
The products come from the vendors.
All right.
Yes.
What products are this?
So the BTS, the
Okay.
base station equipment, the antennas, the microwaves.
Got it.
Yes,
got it.
correct,
So then
yeah.
you're always with. So you already have established supplier relationships as well as established buyer relationships.
Correct.
Do you have good margins? Is your business getting better?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So you are also a beneficiary of Women in Business of Safaricom, and
Mm-hmm.
this is a chapter that was launched in 2017. What impact has being a part of Women in Business had on your current business?
Like I said, most of our business has been with Safaricom, even though it has been sometimes through the vendors.
All right.
So what we've seen with the Women in Business initiative from Safaricom was that the visibility to step up and say, oh, Spectrum has been in this field for a while. First, we didn't know it was owned and led by a woman. Secondly, I was probably one of the few people at the time that was playing in technology, but you tend to go for what you know.
Okay.
So what that initiative and the mentorship has done is open up more doors. Yeah. People are
Okay.
saying you already have the infrastructure in place.
Yes.
In terms of knowledge base, trained engineers, it's so much easier to pick
Yes.
something else. So
Yes.
like we diversified into fiber. We never used
Okay.
to do fiber before. So that's
Wow.
fiber to the building.
All right.
So those are areas we have seen our company grow into that we would normally not have gone for.
Okay.
Just from the visibility of Florence's team will say, I hope you ladies have seen
Yes.
this is out there.
Yes.
So we're responding to more expression of interest because they're being made more aware, apart from just being posted on the Safaricom page, and responding to more requests. So which means if you respond to 5,
Yes.
maybe you win 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
Now, I
yeah.
want to ask you another question. You look cool, calm, and collected. You've been running this business for 16 years. You're telling me the constant in your business is change. And you're telling me the last change has been from BTS, and BTS sounds like construction, like probably your key material was, I need to buy cement, then I need to buy the equipment and load it. Now you're saying you've moved to fiber. Fiber means it's a different skill. Nani najua kuchimba,
Correct.
and how do I put it under? So how do you maintain your calm as a business owner, and how do you ensure that you're constantly proactive, engaging, and how do you not lose your patience and your passion for the business? Because 16 years is a long time. How do you keep it all together?
I think when you have been working hard over
Yes.
the period,
Yes.
you're delivering, nobody questions your ability.
Yes.
It's always more like, what extra can you do?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then how do you grow your own extra? Because I mean, there's what the Women in Business does for you in terms of the mentorship and the training. There's what your suppliers do for you. But as Christine, how do you ensure that you have been to school, and how do you ensure that I am switched on? What do you do? How does your day look like? Actually, just walk us through what is that day in the business life of Christine look like?
So my biggest tasks like of the day is checking up on my staff.
Yes.
Because they're handling various projects
Yes.
with several customers. So trying to understand the progress of each project. Are we in the implementation stage? Are we in the acceptance stage? To make sure that the work is being invoiced and the turnaround on the investment is coming back fast enough.
Okay.
So that's a typical day to day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And in terms of Christine, I do sign up for training, like Florence was saying. There's a lot of training that's out there through our mentorship forum, and taken a few courses at Strathmore.
Yes.
Yeah, just
Okay.
to stay relevant, understand as an engineer, you're focused on doing the work.
Yes.
But as a business owner, you need to
Exactly.
understand finances.
Okay.
So take some financing courses, try to understand what your working capital is, manage your cash flow better.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What book are you reading currently, Christine? I have to ask that.
Currently, I'm reading a book by Sarah Marshall, How Women Rise.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, fantastic. I need to
Yeah.
look for that one. I don't have it on my library. So let's take a conversation a bit on a different trajectory. Florence has told us that the commitment from Safaricom is we want women to be in high value procurement and to move this to 10%. How does this sit with you? And especially because you are part of that. Are you feeling that your contribution in terms of revenue generation from Safaricom as a customer is increasing because of being part of this? And generally, how do you think about this?
That is fact,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
But the fact that you've now moved from having one contract with Safaricom to now responding to more and winning more contracts.
Okay.
But just that fact, as Spectrum, I am getting more orders,
Yes.
I'm getting more work.
Okay.
And for Florence, she's putting more money into her spend.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is Safaricom your only buyer, or do you have, because of the visibility, then can you say that being part of this movement has actually opened doors with other suppliers?
Correct. Safaricom is not my only supplier. I work with, like I said, the international vendors.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you have a variety.
We have
of
a
people.
variety of customers.
Okay.
Yes, Safaricom is not my only customer.
All right. And I have somebody
Yeah.
here asking, how do you survive in a heavily male-dominated space?
Interestingly, until people started having that conversation, I never actually realized.
Yes.
Obviously, you know, when you're in class, maybe you're 2 out of a class of 20, you're just 2 ladies. But I draw inspirations from one of the person that has inspired me the most has been my mother.
Okay.
She was hardworking, she was very determined, she was very independent, and picking those skills from her and just being Christine, not
Yes.
that I'm female or it's
okay.
I mean, it's, yeah.
It's neither here, it's
neither here
there.
nor there.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you're constantly delivering, nobody questions your ability. They
Okay.
just see you as a team player.
All right.
Somebody who can help them and vice versa.
All right,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
I think we're coming almost to the tail end of the timing, but I just want to get a sense from you, because you sit in this space in technology. You are interacting with one of the bigger buyers of technology services or affiliated services in the country. You're also talking to big sellers of products or services. So when you sit in this space of technology today, what are 1, 2, or 3 emerging business opportunities that you see that you think could be high value for somebody to pay attention to for the next 2 to 3, even to 5 years?
The biggest thing, in my opinion, is apps.
Yes.
Figuring out what the problem is and solving those problems for the people.
Yes.
Like a simple one is something like the Mama Mboga, who getting soft loans was very difficult, but with apps like Fuliza, they're able to borrow that money and by the end of the day pay it back for a very, very small commission.
Okay.
So there's a lot of opportunities in coding, software development.
Okay.
Yeah. And then again, it's about the customer. What
Yes.
does the customer want? If you
Okay.
can figure out from your space what you're good at, figuring out what we all want,
Yes.
then there's lots of endless opportunities.
Okay.
Yes.
And fantastic. And I think I like that you've also brought in the element of finances, which is working capital and how do you fund your business. Now, some of these opportunities that you're describing in the technology space, at times they could need a lot of capital, at times they might not need a lot of capital. So if I am a business owner, if I'm looking to maybe morph my business, if it was not in the technology space, to the technology space, what are 1 or 2 things that I must pay attention to in terms of my finances so that I don't lose my eye on the profitability of the business?
You have to have a good banker.
Okay.
Or other financial institutions. I mean, bank is not the only way you can get money.
Yes.
And keeping a track of what your profit margins are at the time you get your order.
Okay.
So you can budget properly and make sure you don't tap into that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something that you can disclose just for the benefit of people who are watching. When you talk about businesses, I mean, the way you look at an opportunity is first and foremost, what's the margin on this? If it's a 20% margin before I even include my taxes, if it's a 20% operating margin, I'm like, doesn't make sense. If it's a 50% margin, it makes sense. Because you have been in technology and have been going through the different changes in technology. Are the margins getting better? Is there an opportunity in getting into technology and getting to a space where I have operating margins of 50%, or is 50% too high and should I focus elsewhere?
I'll start by saying that 50% is too high.
Okay.
Secondly, Kenya has one of the most mature in terms of the competition.
Yes.
So the margins are very tight.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that you're not making enough to sustain your operations.
Okay.
All it is finding smarter ways of doing things, being more efficient, using a lot of IT tools
Yes.
to stop the back and forth from keep repeating the same site,
Yes.
having issues on site and going back.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah, fantastic. I really like that because
Yeah.
Kenya is a very entrepreneurial
It's
and
very
very
entrepreneurial.
and very
It's
com-
yeah, it's
and
very
competitive.
competitive. So you
Okay.
have to figure out how to keep your margins, keep your margins and still deliver.
And still deliver.
Yes.
So perhaps what you're saying is if I'm going to get into technology, I must first think about a low margin, high volume business.
Correct.
Which makes sense because really Safaricom, which is the biggest buyer, also runs a similar model. I think we're coming to the tail and I have two more questions that I'd like to ask. For people who are in businesses, and especially because what COVID-19 has actually forced everyone to think about getting out of a physical value chain into a virtual value chain. And so there are always the constant questions of how do I manage the intricacies, the internal operations of my system? How do I manage my external engagement with my systems? And I know there are ERP solutions and there are many apps out there. For people who want now to become more technology savvy in terms of using technology for their businesses, are there certain key things that they need to look out for if they want to run their businesses using technology from here on?
Well, yeah, one of the biggest thing that pops in mind right away is you don't need a physical space to run your business.
That's a big one.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you need to collaborate with people and share information, we have cloud solutions.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So all you need to do is log in into a VPN and you
Yes.
can access the entire of Spectrum's data
Yes.
on a virtual network.
Okay.
So that removes the element of the physical sitting space in
All
an
right.
office.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a good one because it's normally a huge business line. And then as we come to the tail end, first, is there anything that you feel is pertinent to this conversation of technology, of you being part of the Women in Business movement? Is there something that I might have left out that you think is important for this conversation before we come to an end?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that there's a huge gender technology gap.
Okay.
Yeah, and we may not be close to solving it, but what I have seen with certain companies is having policies in place where they say when we're taking in training, mentorship people in, they have a one-on-one policy where they say for every boy we bring in, we're also bringing a girl child.
Okay.
We've also seen what Safaricom has done with their M-Pesa Foundation, where to try and tap into the girls when they're still in high school, so that when they're finishing off high school, they know what their path is, they've identified what they're good at.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel that women need to be encouraged.
Yes.
You need to walk with them.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, just like drum into them, because unfortunately after like 20 years,
Yes.
you started off maybe as 20 women in technology, 20 men in technology. There's also another fall rate.
Yes.
So
okay.
yeah,
So they
exactly.
don't keep. So you just need to keep pushing.
You need to keep pushing to
resilience,
keep
which is what
resilient.
Florence was
There's
telling us
sweat,
about.
determination.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
All
Yeah.
right. And then this question just popped up. When you're looking at technology, I like that you have been in this space since the year 2002. When you look at the opportunity in technology today, would you say Kenya is already over the top, or could you say we are scratching the opportunity? Is there more in terms of opportunities, in terms of using technology to provide services, or are we almost maxing out the opportunity when it comes to technology?
We are nowhere near maxing out.
Okay.
There's lots of opportunities. And like I said, the only thing that's constant
Is change.
It's always changing.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you so much. Perhaps you can leave us with a parting shot, either from your business or to other people in business, or with regards to women in business, just something, a nugget that somebody can take home and remember. Christine, this is what she said. If nothing else, I must always pay attention to this parting shot.
If you have an idea and you want to go into business, you just start.
Yes.
Everything else falls in place.
Yes.
Rome was not built in one day.
Yes.
So start, build up, scale up,
Yes.
understand the rules of engagement,
Yes.
form relationships,
Yes.
and it will be 16 years later, people asking you, how did you get here?
Fantastic. I really can't even say anything more after that. Christine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Christine. She is an engineer, has been in the technology space for 16 years, is also a beneficiary of Women in Business. I mean, it was just a very amazing conversation because she's just telling us how has she succeeded. And the key thing that I've taken from her is the only thing that's constant is change. And she says that with a smile and a calm demeanor. I don't know how she's able to do it, but we must be resilient. That's what we had for you today. We're not necessarily looking at Safaricom as a technology stock, but we were engaging with people who are affiliated to the biggest buyer of technology in Kenya, the biggest company in Kenya by way of revenue, the biggest company in Kenya by way of profitability. And if nothing else, whether you are a woman or a man, you must be able to level up in terms of enhancing your knowledge base and being able to identify opportunities. If you have an idea, start it off, network, find your way around, but don't be left behind, because there are numerous opportunities in technology, and we hope that we've been able to spur an idea in you, if nothing else. Thank you so much for being part of our show today. We hope to see you and host you again tomorrow. Have a good day.